Hey, good morning. Yes, it is. It is Thursday, July 18th. I saw your post, Amos. Damn. So, what I thought we'd do today is we cover, you know, my take on health and I want to hear your take on health and where I think we need to be, especially as we get older. But certain things are still, doesn't matter how old you are. So, stay tuned. Alrighty, welcome back to the channel. My name is Eric. Yes, this is the weekday. Today's Thursday. Today we're talking about health and safety. And then more generalized, it's health. And I want to give you my take on how I view things. And I'd love to hear your take as well. You know, Claude and I, we talk all the time. He's 72, going on 73. And I'm 61 going on 62. And our favorite motto, since neither one of us like going to a doctor, is, when it's your time to go, it's your time to go, right? But there are things that you can do to kind of help God out a little bit, right? When you're young, you don't think of things, right? And you're not thinking about, even though the old timers are telling you, lift with your legs, not with your back. You're going to pay for it when you get older like me. I don't know how many old timers told me that. And I blew them off. And now I got back problems. Okay, anybody there is young, lift with your legs. The other thing is taking too many chances at work or even at home. You know, I can count 3 different people that I know that have lost a digit, a finger, part of a finger, because a skill saw got them. And they weren't using that skill or that skill saw in an occupation they were in. They were doing home projects. And it just took just a second. And it happens. It's to make it as simple as possible. Shit happens. And it happens so fast. You know. When I took shop, you know, we had Mr. Hanna was our shop teacher. And one of the things that we had to do when we first started shop, and that was in the 7th, 8th grade, and we were up through, we had to make a special tool to use for the table saw to push your lumber through so that you weren't getting your hands in and around that. And from the time I was in the 7th to the time I got to graduating high school, Mr. Hanno had not had any accidents in that shop, area with any of the power tools. Yet all of us used them. Why is that? Because he was a strict, you gotta follow the rules. If I catch you goofing off, I'll send you to the office. No ifs, ands, or buts. And he made it very clear that, in a fraction of a second, you could lose all your fingers and how hard it would be in life. And we had this one young lad in my class. And when he was younger, probably around, and this makes no sense to me, 4 or 5, I think it was, years old, his fingers got chopped off by a lawnmower. Tell me how that happens. I When we had kids, those kids were not allowed anywhere near lawnmowers until, I mean, when they were, I think when my son turned 8. By then we put him up on a tractor to steer because his legs wouldn't reach the clutch or the gas. Put it in low, and we'd have him just steer straight, and his mom and I would throw bales on the wagon. And he graduated to the lawnmower. But the thing is both of my kids were raised on farms. They were around equipment. They knew the hazards, okay? And you could say, well, no 8-year-old knows all the hazards. No, they don't. But you got to start them right. You got to learn, you got to teach them to respect things, not fear them. Respect them. And that's the difference between a lot of parents and when I was raising my kids. And my grandparents taught the same way, is to respect. When it came to firearms and driving, because my grandmother used to feel that it was more of a sin to get behind the wheel after having a couple drinks than it was to go out and just shoot and not know what your background, what you're shooting at. So we were taught to respect firearms, and I can remember 7 or 8 shooting 22s under supervision, and my kids did the same, right? And I can understand now about the drinking and driving. It just takes a fraction of a second, right? But we are who we are, right? And that means each one of us, I mean, everything from eating unhealthy, and unhealthy could be sporadic, where you're not sitting down and having a good breakfast, lunch, and dinner. Now, for over 40, 45 years, maybe even, maybe about that, I've never eaten breakfast or lunch. I've always had just dinner. And most people tell me, no, you need to eat breakfast and lunch and dinner. That way you're feeding your body throughout the day, when it needs energy. This is where I get my energy. But my grandfather was a stickler for that. He loved his, whether it's bacon and eggs in the morning or bacon and hash browns or, sausage links. He had something for breakfast. And he made breakfast for us boys. He was the breakfast maker. And did a great job. French toast, pancakes, bacon, sausage. Right down to whether you wanted poached eggs, fried eggs, easy side up, or he did it all. But he didn't believe in a big lunch. He carried a sandwich, some crackers, his coffee, and a juice or something like that in his lunchbox. He'd eat a good breakfast, a light lunch, and not very heavy dinner. And that brings us to weight, right? Each one of us, our bodies are different, and some burn calories faster than others. But I think it's more, at least what I've seen, is the tendency to be overweight is the amount of consumption. And not just the consumption, it's consumption of certain foods that are more towards dessert than they are a meal. And let's take pizza. pizza's easy, right? If I sit down, I might eat one slice, and I'm full. But my son will eat half, three-quarters of that pizza before he's full. But he started getting heavier, and it was consumption. It was how much you were feeding the body. And the thing is the more you eat, the bigger your stomach gets, and the more it needs, right? So the less you eat, your stomach will shrink, and you'll be full. If you stop eating when you get full, most people will be alright. But the tendency to keep eating because it's so delicious, even though we're ready to puke. So that's another factor, I think, is obese versus thin. You can be too thin, anorexic. You can be too heavy, obese. You got to get somewhere in the middle. I'm not saying try to be at your optimum weight and stuff like that. Because I think mine is for 5'11", is like 180, 170. And I'm at 178, so I'm right in the range for my height and everything. But I struggled with obesity, for years when I was younger. Because I didn't know how to quell my feelings and stuff. I didn't know how to react to certain things. And food brought comfort. That's why it's called comfort food. And the more stressed I was, the more I would eat. There was a direct correlation to it. And so when I was in the ninth grade, right through to my junior year in high school, I was 230, 240. I wasn't super obese, but I was classified as obese, Back when I was obese, we didn't have a lot of obese people. Most of the kids were thin at their optimum weight, right? But now you look at schools and kids, and the skinny ones, the ones that are optimum weight, are the rarity, and everyone else is heavy. Why is that? Because kids are not getting out and enjoying life. They're sedimentary, and that's the worst thing you could be, is sedimentary, because one, it's not burning calories. Two, it's not healthy. You need to keep your body and muscles and everything else toned up. So there's another area we could work on. If you're a little on the heavy side, maybe we can get you a little lighter. If you're anorexic, where you're super skinny, let's get some meat on those bones. What's the other thing? Sleep. For most of my life, I ran on 3 to 4 hours a day, is all I needed. And when I decided to downsize the business here a while back, one of the things that I wanted to key on is, you know what? You got to get a good night's sleep. And it was gradual. It went from 3 to 4 to 6 to 7. And now it's right around 7 to 8 hours at night that I'm sleeping. And I feel good and rested in the morning. Now, I'm not staying up till 11 o'clock and then getting up at 4. No. I go to bed a lot earlier. And it's been a plus for me. So that's one way. You can, because a lot of people go to bed stressed, and that's the worst thing you can do. So that brings us to the next thing. Stress. You need to reduce stress. Stress, I think, is one of the biggest killers out there. Because stress will cause you to gain weight, lose weight, It will cause you not to get enough sleep or too much sleep. It's not good. But now I want to talk about warning signs. And this almost, I mean, you don't have to if you don't want to. I don't blame you. Some people are very private. But what were the warning signs that the Widowmaker came upon, and how did you know you had a heart attack the last time? I mean, I was an EMT for years, so I know all the pain in the arm, the sternum, heavy shoulders, pain in the back. There's all these different signs. But they can mimic other things too, like a pulled muscle, uh, intestinal gas, where you maybe had sausage and sauerkraut, and you get a lot of gas, and that put pressure on the heart and make you very uncomfortable. I'm just curious because we don't want to lose you, and we don't want to lose anybody else here on the channel. If there's signs that we should be looking for that you know that you would like to share, it would be greatly appreciated. So I'm going to start wrapping this up, but there are other things too, smoking, drinking, eating. Too much of a good thing. Anything in excess is not good for you or your body. You have to have limits on each one of those, right? And like smoking, I've seen people that smoke live until their 90s and even into their hundreds. And I've seen non-smokers die of lung cancer in their 30s and 40s. Drinking, same way. I always thought the ones that drank more just basically, preserve themselves alcohol, and they could live well into their 200s, right? Just prop them up somewhere. But all kidding aside, you have to take care of your body because you only get one body. The way technology's going, that might change, but as of right now, we only have one body, and there's no way to transfer your thoughts, your memories, and anything else from one to another. That's coming, but not yet. What are your things that you think are important when it comes to health and keeping us healthy? What are some of the things that you do and watch out for? And if you've had a stroke, or if you've had, a heart attack or something like that, if you don't mind sharing, I think we all would learn something from it. And this all comes back to, running a sponge repair shop in business. And when you're the owner, you carry a lot of stress. But even every employee there can carry a lot of stress, depending upon if it's a stressful workplace or you make things more light so that it's not so stressful. So on that note, guys, you guys have a great Thursday, and we'll see you here bright and early tomorrow morning. I do have a video that Claude and I did. I don't know if any of you good folks are interested in it. But here a couple days ago, I showed a Cub Cadet that the bolt had snapped off in the crank on a zero-turn Cub Cadet. And the video is on how to drill the bolt out and get it out, and then re-tap it, or at least chase the threads, right? and get it back where it needs to be. You know, I know of a lot of people that have junked their mowers because that bolt snapped and they thought there was no way to get it out. I've seen guys try to weld something, to try to, but when it's broke up in just a little ways, it's hard. All right, guys, so we'll catch you later.